Pay close attention. What you're about to see is Bible prophecy being fulfilled.
Welcome to YPN News, bringing you the news that relates to Bible prophecy and foretold by Yeshua Hawkins. Katan, several news articles to discuss with our viewers today, all showing Bible prophecy fulfilled or very close to being fulfilled. Now, military tensions have peaked on the Korean Peninsula as both North Korea and the United States show off their military defenses. South Korean military officials confirm that North Korea recently moved missiles to its coast, but added no signs of a possible attack yet. North Korea's missile deployment follows Pyongyang's increased warnings for Seoul and Washington to cease their annual joint military training, which included the F-22 fighter jets and nuclear-capable B-52 and B-2 stealth bombers.
North Korea said its military is now authorized to attack. A North Korean news anchorwoman spoke adamantly, saying, "We will cope with a U.S. nuclear threat with a merciless nuclear attack, and we will face their invasion with a justified all-out war. This is our military and our people's unchangeable stance. The U.S. and its followers should clearly note that everything is different in the respected era of Kim Jong-un."
To counter this move, Washington will also send a missile defense system to Guam. The deployment plan follows the Pentagon's announcement to install 14 more interceptors despite its major budget cuts. South Korea's Navy also dispatched 2 Aegis destroyers with the advanced radar systems to the coast for what they said to better monitor North Korea's missile launch.
Though vowing to respond sternly to North Korea, South Korea's newly elected president said the country's door is open for dialogue. Although analysts believe these talks will not start between governments, instead they believe North Korea will bring in specialists to discuss each country's position. That in turn may lead to official communication between the governments, but many believe that dialogue and negotiation between South Korea and the U.S. with North Korea may be the only way for current tensions to ease.
Now, police are looking at tire tracks and cigarette butts near the home of the recently murdered Kaufman County District Attorney Mike McClellan. This comes after neighbors reported a beat-up white SUV which appeared to have 4 men inside was parked at the corner near McClellan's house for 4 days before the shooting. McClellan is the second prosecutor from the DA's office to be killed since January, and these shootings are beginning to be a lot of concern there for the Texas law enforcement.
Oh, I bet they are. They are so concerned that the interim district attorney, Brandy Hernandez, who is picking up where the slain district attorney left off, is working in an armed camp at the Kaufman County Courthouse, which includes 24-hour protective service. Many surrounding counties have also put their district attorneys under 24-hour protection, but the most remarkable development is the recusal of an assistant United States attorney in charge of the Aryan Brotherhood, who've been mentioned in this case as possible suspects. The attorney removed himself, citing safety concerns for his own life.
And Katan, that's very uncommon for law enforcement to do that. That's actually showing that they're being intimidated by these murders.
That's right.
Now, continuing, we turn to YPN's Larry McGee, who has our story on the ongoing uprising in Syria and some of its refugees who are headed inside the rocks for protection. Larry, what are you seeing here?
The bloodshed surrounding the rebellion in Syria is threatening to ripple out and affect other areas of the greater Middle East as well. The country's leader, Bashar al-Assad reportedly informed Jordan today that they are playing with fire by supporting Syrian rebels. The uprising against Assad began 2 years ago, and since then, more than 70,000 are reported dead. Many families are now seeking refuge in Syria's ancient ruins. They are called the Dead Cities, a collection of ancient villages abandoned by the Romans 1,500 years ago. Now, those ruins have become a refuge for the wounded and homeless of the Syrian rebellion. The locals say thousands are now living in caverns under the ruins, and the thick walls are said to be their only protection from the government's rigorous bombing campaign. Life in the caves is reported to be grim, and the underground caverns provide security but not comfort. The air is damp and musky. The smoke from cooking doesn't leave easily, and it is relatively difficult to keep them clean. A female refugee, Khadija, and her 7 children fled her village 5 months ago under severe pressure from government forces. She relates being in fear and hearing her children scream endlessly. She has in her cave a few of her possessions, which are painful reminders of the home she left behind. A few days after she fled, Khadija says a missile struck her home, and she is now without anything. For the refugees, help is reported to be missing. Food is scarce, and medical assistance is non-existent. At present, however, the ruins represent refugees' best retreat, a place for the living in the city of the dead.
Appreciate your report, Larry.
Well, it's a sign of the times. A new government survey finds that more couples than ever are living together before marriage. In 1995, about 1/3 of women said that they had moved in with their partner or with a partner without getting married. Today, that number has grown to a whopping 48%.
Wow.
Definitely.
As thousands of people gathered in St. Peter's Square in Rome celebrating their Easter holiday, the Gondro family recalls the moment when their 8-year-old son Dominic, who suffers from cerebral palsy, was embraced and kissed by Pope Francis as he made his way through the crowds. Their family watched in unbelief as the live image was displayed on the jumbo monitors outside.
Christina Gondro expressed tears of joy as she said in an interview with CBS News, saying, "I felt the Holy Spirit moved him," speaking of her son, and that he had it in his head that he was going to meet the Pope. Dominic, who, when he was born, 3 months premature, weighed only 1 pound, was agitated and uncomfortable, his mother said. And when the Pope handed him back, she said he was calm.
For seniors, a recent report has brought to light that 1 out of every 5 seniors who come out of the hospital return in just 30 days. Now, 1 out of every 3 returned in 3 months. Now, this at a cost of $17 billion a year to Medicare. So what are a part of the contributing factors here to this? Well, doctors say sleep deprivation, anxiety, malnutrition, information overload are just a few of the things that occur while in the hospital that can make a person actually weaker.
So the question follows up as to what can seniors do to reduce their chances of being readmitted. Doctors say get extra rest and nourishment, rely more on family and friends for help, not trying to do so many things by yourself. Reach out to your doctor if anything does seem unusual, and avoid driving after discharge. Of course, also avoid contact with other people who are ill, as the immune system has to be re-strengthened. One of the challenges, as one doctor said, is we need to make hospitals a more healing environment.
Which is going to be a challenge.
Most definitely.
Now to the Far East, where in China, a Chinese military unit, 61398, on an unsuspecting street is being investigated by the United States government for a recent spree of computer hacking that has affected many large companies, governments, and could even affect commerce and lead to an international war if the right buttons are pushed.
That military unit is suspected of hacking into 141 organizations since 2006, stealing hundreds of terabytes of information. The Chinese government denies any of these accusations and states that it is difficult to determine where the source of these attacks originate from.
The New York Times hired a specialist who, after allowing the hackers to operate in their system for 4 months before kicking them out, determined that the hackers were based in China. He also said that because these hackers use multiple hoops, which is data transferring through many devices like routers and servers and so forth, making it difficult to follow the trail back to the source computer.
Hackers are continually developing ways to perform digital espionage, therefore leaving no computer system immune for very long. Now, some of the things that we've reported on may be shocking and disturbing to some, while outright scary and disgusting to others. The fact of the matter is that the world is a sick and dying place, but you can keep yourself from dying in the sickness of this world by coming out of it as soon as possible. Now, you can do this by contacting the House of Yahweh.
You can write the House of Yahweh at The House of Yahweh, P.O. Box 2498, Abilene, Texas 79604. Or you can call them at 1-800-613-9494. You can also visit their website at www.yahweh.com or www.yisroelhawkins.com. You can also email them at info@yahweh.com. And for all calls outside the United States, please call the number on your screen.
Now, if you're ready to do what you can to come out of this world, get yourself a pencil, a paper, and your holy scriptures, because up next is Yisroel Hawkins. For all of us here at YPN News, I'm Katan Alexander.
And I'm Jeffrey Heimerman.
Thank you for watching.